Stop waiting to be born with charisma. That myth is the lazy cousin of success, comforting but useless. Charisma is not a lucky gene passed down in a golden family. It's a set of habits, skills, and choices you make in every interaction. You can learn it. You can practice it. You can get better at it faster than you think, starting with how you show up this minute. I want you to imagine the room as an organism. People are its cells. Your presence is not decoration, it's medicine or poison. When you walk into a meeting, a date, a stage, or a hallway, something in the atmosphere shifts. That shift is not random. It's the sum of your energy, your attention, your speech, and the story you carry silently in your posture. If you don't like how people react to you, change the variables. That's all charisma is, intentional variables turned into reliable influence. Here's the truth that separates talkers from people who move rooms. Charisma starts inside, but it shows outside. You don't fake it by pretending to be ecstatic. You align three basic channels: body, voice, and attention, so they tell the same story. When those three are synchronized, people relax and lean in. When they are not, you know the feeling. Conversations die, eyes glaze, opportunities evaporate. So we begin where most people refuse to look: your baseline state. First variable, energy. Not the new age kind, but practical, measured energy. Energy is pace and presence. It's your breathing and how you carry tension. Try this now. Take 2 slow, full breaths. Feel your feet on the floor. That alone shifts your nervous system. Charismatic people don't inhale the room, they anchor it. They keep their center moving, not jittering. Practice breathing for 60 seconds before any important interaction. It calms the part of you that wants to perform and opens the part that wants to connect. Second variable, posture and microsignals. Your spine is a headline. Hold it like you mean what you say. Slightly lift your chest, not puff it out, but lift it with quiet dignity. Unclench your jaw. Let your hands be ready, not frantic. Microsignals are tiny. A nod at the right time, a slow hand gesture, a lean that listens without interrupting. These small things tell people you are both present and confident. They make you credible before you speak the first sentence. Third variable, the voice. Volume alone will not do it. Timing and texture do. Use pauses like punctuation marks, not for drama, but to let meaning land. Vary your pitch. Collapse into the dip when making a serious point. Widen for warmth. Slow down when you want clarity. Speed up when you want urgency. Take one line you say often and practice 3 versions in front of a mirror. Notice which one gets a nod from the person watching. That reaction is feedback. Napoleon Hill said belief shapes outcomes. Here, your vocal belief shapes attention. Fourth variable, attention. The single most underrated skill in charisma is not speaking, it's listening. Real listening is active and hungry. You listen so the other person feels seen. That means eye contact that is steady, not staring, nods that are specific, not robotic, and follow-up questions that probe feeling and importance, not facts. Ask questions that require more than yes or no. When someone answers, name what they feel. Sounds like that moment left you frustrated. Labeling is not manipulation when it's honest, it's humane. It lifts the person out of isolation and puts them in your orbit. Now some short practices you can do every day. These are tiny routines with giant returns. The 60-second center. Before you enter any room, find 60 seconds alone. Breathe in for 4, Hold 2, breathe out for 6. Visualize one outcome, not a fantasy, a specific next step. This centers you. It reduces the scatter that kills charisma. The 3-word pause. Practice placing a 3-second pause before your key sentence. Most people rush. Silence creates space for others to lean in. It says, what I'm about to say matters. The curiosity drill. For a whole day, commit to asking one meaningful question to each person you meet. Not about the weather, about what matters to them today. Watch how people shift when someone shows genuine interest. The mirror voice check. Once a day, speak a short paragraph to your reflection. Notice your jaw, breath, and tempo. Record it if you want the brutal truth. Adjust. Small vocal changes are huge. The decoy compliment. Give one sincere compliment that focuses on effort or character, not appearance. You stayed calm in that meeting. That made a difference. People don't forget that. Praise for process creates magnetic trust. These practices sound simple because they are. Charisma doesn't demand theatrics, it demands discipline. Discipline is the scaffolding of authenticity. You can't fake genuine curiosity forever, but you can train curiosity until it becomes your default. You can't fake calmness forever, but you can practice calm until your physiology learns the new habit. Let me warn you about cheap charisma. There's a dangerous cousin called charm. Slick, surface, instrumental. Charm can open doors, but it often collapses into manipulation. Charisma built on empathy, honesty, and a consistent inner standard builds bridges that last. Charisma without integrity is a short ride with a long fall. So train the skill, but cultivate the why. Why you want influence. If it's for control, the room will sense it. If it's for contribution, the room will feel it too. Stories fix ideas. Remember someone who made you feel important with nothing but a look? Remember someone who robbed a room with a single sentence? Study them. Notice what they did physically, how they phrased things, where they placed their pauses. I promise you, mimicry is not theft here, it's learning. Adopt the pattern, then make it your own. One last practical, the 3-second mirror. After conversations, take 3 seconds to observe the other person's face as you part. Did they smile? Did they close down? That observation is gold. It tells you what landed. Adjust the next time. Charisma is feedback driven. The more you observe, the faster you improve. This is not theory. These are tactical moves you can use today. Start with one. Choose the breathing ritual, or the curiosity drill, or the mirror voice check. Master it for a week, then add another. Build until the changes stick. Habits compound. A tiny shift every day becomes the person you are. Right now, I want you to commit to one simple experiment. For the next 3 conversations you have today, slow down your breathing, hold eye contact for a beat longer than usual, and ask one follow-up question that digs beneath the surface. That's the training. That's the work. That's where ordinary becomes magnetic. Write in the comments one small habit you'll change after watching this part. Be specific. Which one will you practice in the next conversation? And tell me, what was the last time someone's presence changed you in a single minute? And what exactly did they do that you wish you could borrow? Part 2. If Part 1 got your attention, good. Now we go deeper. Charisma is not a mask you put on for effect. It's the honest expansion of who you are when you clean the clutter away. That cleaning starts inside. You need to upgrade the software running your life, the beliefs, the inner dialogue, the image you hold of yourself. Change those, and your outward signal changes almost instantly. Sounds dramatic? It is, but it's also practical. You'll learn how to rewire the story you tell yourself so people sense confidence before you speak a single line. Let's start with the image of I. This is the quiet narrative living under your conscious goals. It tells you what you deserve, how you handle pressure, and how you present yourself when stakes rise. Most people let that image coast on autopilot. Recycled messages from childhood, gossip, failed attempts. If your default self-image is small, your presence will be small. If your default is resourceful, you'll show resourcefulness. You are not trying to deceive anyone. You are upgrading the internal script so your behavior matches the person you want to be. Step 1. Identify the current script. For the next 2 days, record 3 moments when you held back. What was the thought in your head right before you stayed quiet? Write it down. These are the internal commands that shape your actions. Now ask, which of these thoughts are facts and which are frightened stories? Distinguishing between evidence and narrative is the first act of power. Step 2. Reframe the narrative with a counterstatement. A counterstatement is not a lie. It's a precise reauthoring. Instead of, I'm not good at leading, try, I learn fast when I choose to lead, and learning is my advantage. Notice the verbs. Use growth verbs, learn, practice, improve, not fixed ones. Napoleon Hill taught believers to command their subconscious with clear statements. Here, you command your attention with clear, practicable lines. Repeat your counterstatement daily, not as empty affirmation, but as a short plan of action. What you will do to prove that line true. Now, the inner dialogue. The voice inside you is either your ally or your saboteur. Most people allow a critic to run a 24/7 commentary that undermines them. You can't silence every negative thought, but you can change how you respond. Treat the critic like a lazy employee. Give it a short shift and a clear job. When the critic shows up, ask it one question. What evidence do you have? If it offers none, thank it and move on. This tiny ritual interrupts the momentum of fear. Fear itself, we must unmask it. Fear is an amplifier of detail into drama. It focuses on what might go wrong, not on what could be learned. The quickest way to weaken fear is to expose it to action. Do one small, awkward thing intentionally. Speak up in a meeting for 60 seconds. Tell a brief story. Offer a suggestion. The awkwardness is a membership fee for growth. Once paid, the boundary expands. This is decisive training. Repeat it until your nervous system stops treating small risks like life or death. Body and voice are still the wires that connect your internal upgrade to the outside world. We already practiced breathing. Now connect posture to identity. Stand as your future self would stand. This is not pretending, it is training muscle memory. Hold the posture for at least 5 minutes a day while practicing statements. The body learns contextually. Posture plus words equal new habit faster than words alone. Use a concrete exercise, the future you walk. For 3 minutes daily, walk like the person you intend to be. Not a caricature, a believable, confident version. Notice how your shoulders move, how your head tilts, how your pace signals authority. This walk rewires how your muscles respond in social situations. Do it for 2 weeks and watch how your physiology changes your social outcomes. Another deep tool is visualization, not fantasy, but rehearsal. Elite performers visualize the exact sensory details of an upcoming interaction, the room's temperature, the sounds, the faces, the words you'll use. You rehearse your posture, the pauses, the question you'll ask. Visualization builds neural pathways as sturdy as practice. Earl Nightingale said you become what you think about most. Apply that deliberately. Spend 5 minutes before key interactions running the scene in your head. Imagine a real outcome and rehearse the feeling you want people to leave with. Calm, inspired, curious. Now we address belief, the engine of consistent behavior. Belief is not blind faith, it's habit-based trust in your process. Build belief through micro wins. Design tiny, unavoidable victories each day that prove to your nervous system you can create outcomes. Send a succinct message that starts a conversation. Wake up and complete one micro task that moves a relationship forward. Keep a log of these wins. Over time, the log becomes a ledger that forces your inner critic to accept facts over fiction. One thing the masters teach, and it's worth borrowing, is the public contract. Commit to a small act of visible competence in public. Maybe you'll share an ID in a group chat or volunteer for a brief presentation. Public contracts accelerate change because they create mild accountability and force you to perform. They produce feedback, which is essential. Attention management is also internal work. Charisma thrives when your attention is generous and focused. The habit of scattered attention, scrolling, multitasking, rehearsing while someone speaks, drains your presence. Practice a focused block with one person. Set your phone aside and give them uninterrupted 90 seconds. No planning responses, just listen and reflect. The more you practice focused attention privately, the more it becomes your public signal. People will remark on it. That remark is social currency. To build a resilient inner state, integrate small rituals that reset your baseline. It could be a morning 3-minute breath, a midday walk without devices, or a short wind down where you review one small success. Rituals create a consistent baseline that others read as composure. Consistency is the subtle, long-term magnet of charisma. There's one more internal trap: chasing approval. Charisma is often mistaken for charm meant to extract likes and validation. That motivation is brittle. Instead, orient toward contribution. Ask, how can I make this person feel clearer, lighter, or more capable? Contribution flips the focus outward while strengthening your internal confidence. It makes influence sustainable. Finally, practice decisive speech. Decide what you're for and say it in a short sentence. Vagueness is the enemy of presence. Clarity attracts. Dale Carnegie taught the power of specific praise and actionable requests. Borrow that technique. Be specific, brief, and anchored in reality. Instead of, I think we could improve customer service, say, let's test a 5-minute follow-up call with 10 clients next week to increase clarity. Specificity is magnetic. All right, now an assignment. For the next 3 days, do the following. Write down 2 self-limiting thoughts each morning and create precise counter-statements. Practice the future you walk for 3 minutes. Take 1 public contract, a small visible act, and deliver it. Use focused attention with at least one person for 90 seconds each day. Track the micro wins in a notebook. Then come back here and tell me what changed. In the comments, post 1 micro win from this week and 1 self-limiting belief you smashed through. Be specific and bold. What single belief about yourself will you refuse to carry anymore, and what action will you take to prove that refusal real? Part 3. Charisma is social electricity. It lights up other people, but electricity without wiring is chaos. The wiring is skill. How you listen, how you respond, how you move the emotional charge in a room. This part is about the craft of influence in the presence of others. If parts 1 and 2 gave you the tools to steady your engine, here you learn how to steer it so others follow willingly, not because you demand it, but because they want to. Start with this. More people remember how you made them feel than what you said. That's not a soft platitude, it's a competitive advantage. Emotional memory is brutal and precise. If you can consistently make people feel seen, capable, and curious, they will lean toward you in work and life. If you make them feel small, rushed, or ignored, they will move away, and faster than you expect. So the skill set here is simple in description and rich in nuance. Attention, emotional calibration, strategic speech, and ethical use. Attention is the currency of charisma. Most people spend their attention like it's infinite and cheap. They multitask while someone speaks, glance at their phone, mentally rehearse their answer, or nod in a scripted way. That superficial attention is noticed, and it repels. Real attention is a present commitment. It's the steady gaze that says, "You matter." It's the act of remembering a detail from a previous conversation and bringing it back in a later one. It's noticing the subtext, the hesitation, the tiny change in laughter, and naming it gently. That kind of attention is rare, and rarity creates value. Practice the attention ledger. After a conversation, jot one sentence about what mattered most to the other person. Was it pride, fear, hope, or frustration? The next time you see them, reference that sentence. That brief act signals you were not merely hearing words, you were carrying them. People trust those who carry their stories. Emotional intelligence is not soft, it's strategic. It's the calibration of your response to the emotional state in front of you. Too hot, you scorch. Too cool, you freeze people out. The first step is labeling feelings. You don't need psychic insight, you need language. Try phrases like, "You seem really fired up about that," or "It sounds like you felt overlooked." Labeling turns vague emotion into a subject you can address. It diffuses intensity and invites honesty. When you name feelings, you give people a map of their own interior. That's magnetic. Empathy without boundaries is a trap. You don't absorb other people's states, you reflect them so they can see and regulate themselves. Keep a reservoir, an inner line that lets you feel and respond, but not drown. The metaphor I use with people I coach is a clear pane of glass. You can see the weather behind it, describe it, and invite someone to change course without getting soaked. Compliments are powerful, but easy to get wrong. The world is full of shallow praise that smells like flattery. The difference between a forgettable compliment and a charisma-building one is specificity and sincerity. Don't say, "Good job." Say, "I noticed how you handled the interruption in the meeting. You stayed composed and redirected us to the goal. That steadiness saved us time." Praise the process, not only the result. Praise the effort, the courage, the consistency. Specific praise teaches people what to repeat and binds them to you emotionally. Voice and rhythm in social interaction are surgical tools. Use pauses to let a point breathe. Use volume to invite rather than dominate. Lean into softness when someone shares vulnerability. Lean into firmness when closing a decision. Your speech should be elastic, flexible, but with predictable tension. Work on conversational timing, when to ask, when to mirror, when to offer an observation. People with magnetic presence seem to know the rhythm of exchange. You can learn it by practicing with intention. Eye contact is one of those skills that separates talkers from movers. But it is not a staring contest, it's a patterned focus. Hold eye contact long enough to create connection, about the length of a natural thought, then release to let the person breathe. When you speak, look at the listener as if you were passing a secret. When they speak, look with curiosity. Avoid the fidget escape. Train your eyes to anchor on the person in front of you. If that feels intense, try the triangle method. Alternate gaze between one eye, the other eye, and the mouth. It feels natural and holds attention. Now, a warning: charisma without ethics is performance without foundation. There's a difference between influence and manipulation. Influence invites choice. Manipulation removes it. If your moves are calibrated only to get people to say yes, you will eventually be exposed. True charisma seeds autonomy. You want people to feel clearer and more capable after interacting with you. Keep that as your North Star. If you ever find yourself using techniques to deceive, stop and reset. Your long-term leverage comes from trust, not tricks. Stories are one of the oldest charisma engines. A short, concrete story with sensory detail does more persuasive work than pages of argument. The structure is simple: set a scene, introduce tension, show an action, reveal a result, and close with what was learned. Use stories to illustrate principles, not to grandstand. When you tell a story, aim to leave listeners with a feeling and a takeaway. Practice telling a 2-minute story that ends with a lesson that others can apply immediately. In groups, your role can change. You might brief, bridge, or challenge. Learn to identify which role the moment needs. Briefing is clarity. Distill complexity into a few crisp points. Bridging is connection. Pull together two people who should talk. Challenging is courage. Push a group to confront an uncomfortable truth with respect. The most magnetic people are versatile. They shift roles without ego. Conflict is where charisma is tested. Most people avoid it or brawl through it. Charismatic conflict is assertive and humane. Start by setting the frame. My goal here is to figure out the best outcome, not to be right. Use the language of contribution. Name the stakes. Offer a clear next step. People respect those who can hold a steady position and still invite others to engage. That's leadership, not dominance. Practice drills for social skill. Start a week of micro-engagements where you intentionally do one of the following each day. Deliver a specific compliment, tell a short story with a clear lesson, ask a question that digs below the surface, or mediate a small disagreement by reframing it in terms of goals. Keep a log of reactions. The log is how you calibrate your impact. One final ethics hack. When you leave a room, leave it a touch better than you found it. That doesn't mean solving everyone's problems. It means leaving someone feeling lighter, clearer, or more capable. Maybe you gave a brief piece of honest feedback. Maybe you asked a question that helped someone see a solution. These small exits compound into reputation. Now your move. In the comments, write one specific interaction you'll run differently in the next 24 hours. Be concrete. What exact sentence will you use? Which practice from this part will you deploy? And how will you measure whether it worked? And tell me, what's one moment from a recent conversation where you felt drawn to someone's presence, and what did they do that you can copy with integrity? Part 4. You've built the engine and learned to steer it. Now it's time to put charisma to work where it pays off most. Your career, your projects, your leadership, the moments that change trajectories. Charisma in action is not about attention for its own sake. It's leverage. It's the ability to turn a single conversation into momentum, a meeting into an alliance, a pitch into a yes. If you want your life to run on purpose, you must learn to bring presence into the practical stuff. Negotiations, teamwork, public speaking, and everyday decisions. This part is about the tactical application, the moves you use when stakes are real and outcomes matter. First, charisma multiplies credibility. In business, credibility is currency. People with charismatic presence get more time, more responsibility, and more leeway, not because they beg for it, but because other people feel safer placing bets on them. That safety comes from consistent signals: calm under pressure, clarity in language, and a habit of making others look good. Your job is to become reliable in those moments. Reliability, small, repeated behaviors, creates a reputation that opens doors you can't knock down. Negotiation is one of the purest tests of charisma in action. Too many people think negotiation is a fight. It's not. It's structured conversation about value. Charisma flips negotiation from wrestling to choreography. Two tools matter more than anything: framing and tempo. Frame the negotiation in terms of shared goals, not competing positions. Start with what both sides gain. That reduces defensiveness. Then manage tempo. Slow down when people rush to claim positions. Speed up when you sense agreement and need to convert momentum into commitment. Use pauses to let offers settle into people's minds. People sign when they feel they were guided, not bulldozed. In teams, charisma is the ability to inspire without dictating. That doesn't mean smiling your way through every decision. It means setting a tone where the team knows what matters and why, and feels invited to contribute. Practice directional clarity. State the desired outcome in one sentence, name two constraints, and invite one idea from someone who hasn't spoken yet. That structure gives others a safe container to participate and makes your leadership feel like partnership. Great leaders don't make people follow them out of fear. They make following the logical, attractive option. Public speaking is another place charisma pays dividends. The stage is a compressed social environment. The audience can't walk away physically, but mentally they will unless you earn their attention. Start with a visceral image or a short paradox that challenges expectations. Don't lead with your name and credentials. Lead with something the audience didn't anticipate that opens a gap in their thinking. Use stories to build trust rapidly. One short human story early on aligns emotion and reason. Move the audience with structure. Promise what they'll gain, deliver the idea in 3 clear beats, and leave them with a practical action they can take in the next 10 minutes. That action is your bridge from performance to behavior change. Pitching ideas, whether to investors, bosses, or partners, requires a special kind of charisma: focused conviction. Conviction without arrogance. Conviction sells velocity. Begin with the problem in vivid terms, show urgency. Then present a simple solution and one specific next step. People are more likely to back you if you ask for a tangible, low-friction action: a 15-minute pilot call, a test budget, a short trial. Frame the risk as shared and name the reward in human terms: how it helps customers, how it frees time, how it reduces stress. Concrete, human outcomes beat lofty promises. Let's talk discipline. Charisma in action is earned through routine. You can't show up magnetic in crisis if your baseline is chaotic. Track 3 weekly rituals that anchor your leadership: a weekly plan review, a short team check-in where you listen more than you speak, and a personal wind-down where you capture lessons. These rituals do 2 things. They keep you attuned to reality, and they build the small wins that sustain belief. Discipline is not joyless. It's the quiet infrastructure that lets charisma scale. Authenticity is the guardrail. People sniff out phoniness in seconds. You can use techniques to increase presence, but never as a mask. Let your values be visible in the small things: how you credit people publicly, how you respond to mistakes, how you choose whom to defend. When your methods match your motives, charisma becomes trust that compounds. When they don't, you get influence that burns out or backfires. Here are practical exercises to turn charisma into measurable outcomes. The 5-minute brief. Before any meeting, write a 1-paragraph brief: outcome, 2 facts attendees need, and 1 question you want answered. Keep it visible in the meeting. This keeps meetings decisive and positions you as the person who makes things happen. The pair bridge. Identify 2 colleagues or stakeholders who should collaborate and facilitate a short bridge conversation, 5 to 10 minutes. Frame the shared goal and ask each for 1 immediate action. You're training yourself to create connections, not just command them. The micro pitch. Craft a 60-second pitch for one project. Time it, refine it, and use it in 3 real conversations. Measure. Did you get a follow-up? Did someone offer help? Adjust until you get a consistent yes rate. The calm boundary. When tension spikes, use this script. I want to solve this. Let's pause for 60 seconds and be clear on the outcome we both want. Practice pausing. People respect composure and clarity. The exit turnaround. After a difficult interaction, send a 1-sentence recap within 30 minutes that clarifies next steps and assigns responsibility. Fast, clear closure is magnetic. It builds trust fast. Remember, charisma in business is not performance for applause. It's performance for results. The people who use presence to create value last. They aren't performing, they're producing. Measure your charisma by outcomes. Meetings that end with decisions, teams that move faster, deals that close, relationships that deepen. Use metrics, yes, even for human stuff, because feedback accelerates growth. A caution: power can seduce. When you start moving rooms, you'll get the chance to bulldoze, to shortcut process, to prioritize wins over people. Resist that. The legacy you want is not short-term wins built on manipulation. It's respect built on consistent, ethical influence. Your true measure will be who stands by you when things are hard, not who claps when you succeed. Finally, the long game. Charisma becomes leadership when it's sustainable. That means taking care of your energy, keeping curiosity alive, and continually sharpening the basics: clear speech, generous attention, and predictable integrity. Schedule quarterly reviews of your social skill. What worked? What didn't? What feedback did you ignore that you should have listened to? The reflective leader evolves, the reactive one burns out. Now, your action. Choose one application from this part: a negotiation, a meeting, a pitch, or a team check-in, and design a short experiment around it using the tools above. Run it within the next 3 days. Track one simple metric. Did you get closer to the outcome you wanted? By how much? In the comments, write the exact meeting or pitch you will run differently, the script or sentence you'll use, and the metric you'll track. Be bold. What concrete result do you aim to change by next week? Part 5. This is where all the pieces meet: skill, habit, integrity, and the quiet stamina that turns short bursts of magnetism into a lifetime of influence. Charisma as a one-off flair is fun. Charisma as a way of life changes everything. If you want to be magnetic, not for moments, but for decades, you must design a lifestyle that protects your presence, sharpens your edge, and keeps your heart in the right place. First, energy management. You cannot be luminous if you are constantly draining. Charisma is not limitless. It's renewable when you treat it like a resource. Think of your energy as a battery with distinct cells: physical, mental, emotional. Each needs different charging routines. Sleep and movement refill the physical cell. Deep work and solitude refill the mental cell. Connection and intentional play refill the emotional cell. Build a simple weekly check-in. What drained you this week? What charged you? And what small change will you make next to protect your battery? The world rewards those who show up whole. Second, lifelong learning. The most charismatic people I've met are insatiably curious. They don't rely on past wins, they collect fresh inputs. Read widely, but read with a question. Talk to people outside your circle. take a class that scares you. Earl Nightingale taught that you become what you think about most. Make curiosity your subject. Curiosity fuels humility, and humility is the undercurrent of magnetic authority. When you say, "I don't know, tell me more," people relax and open. That openness is where real influence begins. Third, choose your circle with precision. Your environment shapes your habits faster than willpower ever will. Surround yourself with people who practice what you want to develop: presence, courage, kindness. Not because they flatter you, but because they hold standards. Create relationships that stretch you and reflect you truthfully. That means both mentors who push and peers who call you out when you slip. The people who stay in your life over years are not accidental. They are the result of deliberate selection and investment. Fourth, carry ethical clarity like a compass. Influence without a moral center is like speed without brakes. Decide now, what are the 3 non-negotiables you will not betray for advantage? Maybe it's honesty. Maybe it's protecting your team. Maybe it's refusing to humiliate. State them clearly and keep them visible, in your notes, in your phone, in a card in your wallet. When choices get messy, those non-negotiables simplify the path. They also create trust, the long-term currency of charisma. Fifth, integrate practice into life. The exercises from earlier parts shouldn't be chores. They should be woven into your day so they feel natural. The future you walk becomes your commute. The 3-second pause becomes your email habit before hitting send. The curiosity drill becomes your standard question at dinner. Small integrations win the long game because they outlast motivation. Design them for real life, short, specific, repeatable. Habits are not glamorous, they are unstoppable. Sixth, speak a civic-level courage. Charisma scaled without purpose can hollow out. Use your influence to make things better where you can: your team, your community, your family. Pick one domain where you will be a consistent presence, not for show, but to contribute. Maybe you mentor one junior person every quarter. Maybe you volunteer your skills monthly. This gives your influence direction and meaning. People follow those who show up for something larger than themselves. Seventh, guard against the loneliness of influence. Leadership and presence attract attention, good and bad. Build a feedback system that is honest. A trusted advisor, a coach, or peers who will tell you when you're wrong. The rarest gift you can give yourself is someone who will say what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. That humility keeps charisma human. Eighth, the daily rituals that keep you steady. Anchor mornings that include a short centering practice, a review of the one outcome that matters for the day, and a micro warm-up for voice or posture. Midday, take a focus reset. 10 minutes away from screens to breathe and re-anchor. Evenings, log one small win and one lesson. These tiny rituals build compound credibility. They make presence predictable and durable. Ninth, practice restorative boundaries. Saying no is part of presence. It tells people what you value. Say no succinctly, without over-explaining. Offer an alternative when you can. Boundaries preserve your capacity to be fully present when it matters. They protect your relationships from the erosion of overcommitment. 10th, measure legacy, not applause. The most useful metric of your charisma is not how many followers you have or how many people laugh at your jokes. It's who remains when things are hard, who trusts you with truth, who grows because you invested in them. Track the small signs. Someone returns your call when they're in trouble. Someone asks you for tough feedback. Someone recommends you without being asked. Those are quieter indicators, but they are more durable. Now some last practical habits to anchor all of this. The quarterly influence review. Every 3 months, answer 3 questions. Who did I serve? What habits slipped? What will I start or stop next quarter? Keep it short and honest. The one question deep dive. Once a week, ask one person, what's the biggest thing you need right now that I could help with? Then actually help. This keeps your influence rooted in service. The Presence Sabbath. 1/2 day a month, disconnect and do activities that refill you without social media or performance. Nature, reading, conversation without agendas. This keeps your presence from becoming performative. The Courage Ledger. Keep a small list of courage deposits, times you did something hard that mattered. When self-doubt arrives, read it. It carries your proof. You've learned how to build presence, rewrite your inner script, master social wiring, and apply charisma in real-world stakes. Now, the final truth. Charisma is a daily choice. Every morning, you decide whether to be small or to bring your full humanity. The people who become magnetic choose the latter, not because they want power, but because they refuse to waste the influence they have. That refusal, to be small, to hide, to play safe, is itself a form of courage. Here's your closing challenge. Over the next 30 days, design a simple charisma system of 3 elements. 1 daily ritual, 2 to 5 minutes, 1 weekly practice, 15 to 30 minutes, and 1 monthly commitment, 1 to 4 hours. Keep it ridiculous in its simplicity so you actually do it. Share it below in the comments as a promise. Be specific. Then report back in 30 days what changed. Write in the comments 1 micro habit you will commit to first, and answer this. What's the single vulnerability you will stop hiding and start owning because it will make you more magnetic, not less? Be honest, boldness breeds change. If this series helped you, hit subscribe and like. 1 short click helps us keep making practical tools like this.